Hi, welcome to my project. My name's Karen Rossi, and I'm going to be presenting my budget lesson for my midterm in modern learning environments. So, the target audience for this project is 9th to 12th graders. I work at Hunterdon Central High School as a business education teacher, and the class that I worked on with this project is a personal finance class. In personal finance, students learn the essentials of financial literacy. This class is a graduation requirement. The learning objective for my project is students will make financial decisions by weighing possible alternatives or options when creating a monthly budget for themselves. Students will identify the differences between basic needs and wants and evaluating their own budgets for needs and wants expenditures. Okay, the essential question for this project is how do I create and follow through with a budget? So, how I went about teaching budgeting is by implementing a real world simulation. The simulation is called Pay Spent. What the student does is they go into Pay Spent, and Pay Spent is going to bring them through a series of real life things. Like, first, they're going to have them pick a job. They're going to have them pick insurance that they're going to enroll in. They're going to give them a scenario where they have a child and they have to get through the month with $1,000 to start, and they will get paid during the month. And then it basically brings up hurdles for the student to overcome, like you hurt your arm, are you going to go to the doctor? Are you going to let your child be in the gifted and talented program, which will cost you $100? So it throws all these different scenarios, and it has the student thinking about making a budget. Like, how am I going to get through the month? Like, or is this a need? Is this a want? And it's really powerful. Um, Along with the simulation, the students are going to fill out a reflection. So the reflection is going to ask them, like, how did you feel during the game? What decisions did you make? Where did you live? How much money do you make a month? So it's going to ask them to fill in information as they're completing the real life budget challenge. Um, Different ways that I'm going to assess them is that Google Doc reflection. I'm also going to observe them. Are they participating? Are they applying? Are they asking for help? Right. So I'm going to, and then further on along the line in a different lesson after this one, they're going to complete a budget based on their simulation. So these are examples of what the documents look like. So the reflection document, and then this is a look at one of the first screens on the Play Spent simulation budget game. These are the different technologies that I used in the classroom. So I used Google Classroom to give them their assignments. Google Slides was used to give them background on budgeting and terminology that they need to partake in this activity. We also use Jamboard to collaborate. So Jamboard's like a Blackboard type of thing. So they collaborate with their fellow students on how they felt with the game, what decisions were good, what decisions were not good. Google Forms is for our reflection. All right, so some of the connections that were made in the activity, some of the changes that I made in the activity was, instead of lecturing about budgeting, I moved on to this simulation where the students were taking like an active role in budgeting themselves, and it was much more powerful. The augmentation that I used was, instead of a class discussion, they were going to reflect on their own. So they were going to think about their experience and reflect on it. A modification that I made was, we, instead of playing the simulation once, we play it twice. And what that does is, some of the students would so it was 30 days they had to make it through, and some of them would make it through only to day 5, so they weren't getting the full effect of a 30-day simulation. So once they kind of got the hang of, like, how can I make it past like a few days, they would play again and be much more successful. The redefinition was, having the students share what they learned on Jamboard with other students, and it created some aha moments. So that was a really great redefinition. Different learning styles that the students utilize. The simulation is very visual, so it has pictures. Also visual is the slideshow, where I'm giving them some information beforehand. The simulation also is verbal, so it's also presenting you with text and with scenarios and some facts. Um, Logical, the students are working through a strategy of the game, and they're also performing some calculations. Interpersonal, the students are very interactive with each other when they're playing the game. So they like to get feedback from other students, like how they were successful at it. Intrapersonal, this is when they're filling in the reflection at the end of the game. So they're internalizing, like, what, how did this impact me? What would I do differently? What advice would I give? So it's really working on all the different learning styles. So this was integrating the technology, the pedagogy, and the content in the activity. So this activity is very technology driven. So we use lots of different technology in it, with Classroom, with Blackboard, with the simulation, with docs, with forms. So the students integrated all that technology. The different pedagogy that was used, there was a lot of student collaboration, student reflection. The simulation was the assessment itself. And the content knowledge was interesting, because they're playing a game, but they're also gaining so much content through the game. They also were presented with content before they played the game, so they already had some background and prior knowledge of definitions that they needed, information they needed to actually play the game. And we've already gone through 3 units, so they do have some prior financial knowledge. So some of the brain research that went into this is the image. I love this image. It's of the left brain and the right brain, and what is controlled with both. And I think this activity really uses both left and right brain. Some of the students, to get through the 30 days, they're being really creative. They're using all that right brain to kind of get them through, and like, how could I utilize, like, how could I ask for friends, how can I do that type of thing. Where the left brain is being more strategic, it's analyzing, like, the numbers, like, how can I make it through. And so it's really a combination of both. And it's really challenging, and it's rigorous. So it's really challenging the brain. And the last page is the Works Cited. So this activity is always, I'm always looking to improve it. And this assignment really helped me with that, to integrate all the different senses and all the different left brain, right brain things, to get it to where the students are really engaged in learning and a meaningful real world experience. Okay, thank you so much.